Hey guys, Chris here. I want to do a video today talking about masculine identity, how that's been lost in terms of enmeshment, tying it into enmeshment, what's actually happening there. So being younger, losing yourself, more in the needs of with the mother, needing validation from women, and how that impacts your masculine identity. What you're most likely to have done subconsciously, maybe you're not even aware of it, is there's a lot of judgment around men and the masculine, and not really being able to have that integrity. And what you do throughout your life, as I've done, constantly looking for male role models, constantly looking for approval, and you never end up trusting yourself. And the journey of this is to become your own self, to become your own man. And this video it doesn't necessarily just speak to men, it's women as well, having that sort of masculine side, that good template, healthy role model of being able to commit, to stick to certain decisions, because the big thing that's lost is a lack of integrity when you say you're going to do something and then you don't actually do it. So one thing that I found important is that if you say you're going to do this week, you're going to go to this class, or you're going to do this, you're going to have these certain daily habits, then you don't stick to the daily habits, and then you don't go to those events, and you kind of stick in your comfort zone. Well, that's self-sabotaging, and the comfort zone is, in a way, from the relationship with the mother, is being safe and not wanting to take risks and being comfortable, which takes away your masculine power. That passion and facing your fears is the big part of life that you want to face, and it leaves you feeling more alive. And then when you don't face that, you don't break out of that. So things that have frustrated me in other people, other guys, which I realize is a reflection of what's happening in me as well, is that lack of being able to commit to things. When people say they're going to do something and then they don't do it, or they say they're going to meet you at a certain place at a certain time and then they change the plan. So that's integrity. And sometimes you might think, oh, it doesn't matter, I said I'm going to get up early today, I'm going to do this habit, but there's always that feeling of guilt underneath. And remember, enmeshment, the big part of enmeshment is guilt, and that's what keeps it driving forwards. So if you're doing certain habits which are making you feel guilty, when you're like, I shouldn't have done that, and that's not necessarily that you're just being too hard on yourself, that's because you've said you want to stop doing something, and you're not going to do it. And normally if you look to, and I've had sort of like a female therapist and other women around me who say, oh, you're being too hard to yourself, you got to be kind to yourself, you got to give yourself more love. And I don't think that is actually the reason why you feel like that. It's because you said you're going to do something and you've not done it, right? We can be too hard on ourselves, but if we say, look, for a week I'm going to cut out sugar, or I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to get up early every day, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. or whatever it is, and you don't do it, or you say you're going to go to the gym and you don't do it, then there's going to be that feeling of guilt. And that is as well because you've not actually stuck to your own what you said you were going to do. And then that will frustrate you in other people. But remember, people are always a sign of showing us what's in there. And through enmeshing with the mother, the father is then absent. In a way, you've been rejected by the father because the father's not there to break you out of the enmeshment. So there's a betrayal there, which brings a lot of anger towards men. So the anger is healthy, but also the anger towards the mother or to women, because of being enmeshed, because your boundaries have been violated. So there's not been any healthy sort of boundaries been set. So you're likely, if you are in these enmeshment traps, to be around people who don't have boundaries. Then when you start to get around more healthy, say, masculine role models, they'll start to say no more. Or when they don't feel like it, they'll say, no, I don't feel like it today. And I remember when I was still in this enmeshment cycle without being aware of it, is whenever someone would say no, I would find that difficult to accept. And then I would judge them a lot and say, oh, this and that, this, they're like this, they're like that. So, one of the big things is getting out of judgment. Exercise is a big one. I think going to Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, these kind of things where you're unleashing a lot more of that anger, that passion starts to come to life. And as I've said throughout my life, I've always had role models, masculine role models who, probably were the wrong ones, the bad boys, the ones that you thought were cool. that weren't actually, and then you realized, from me at least, attracting more healthy masculine role models. But as those, say, men in my life have started to become more distant or start to attract other ones, you start to realize that it's about being your own self and that you're okay on your own. And you don't need that validation anymore. I think in the beginning you do need a lot of validation to say, well done, that well done energy. And the difficulty on this trap is you don't really meet guys who, maybe you start to meet guys or role models who are quite hard on you, and they say, you screwed up, blah, blah, blah. And then again, that makes you feel guilty. So eventually the ones who are kinder, and they give you the example of how it is. So that's what, at least that means for me, is that masculine identity. And it's about making that a part of your journey. And whenever you're aware of judging someone else or other men, look that as a bad sign. I've throughout my life, this billionaire's like this, or this guy's, sleeping with loads of women or whatever. Just be aware of that judgment can stop you from stepping into that identity. And it's kind of a way of stepping on the side with women, for example, and saying, who are maybe in that energy of, all men are useless, or money's bad, or people are greedy. Eventually you want to be able to welcome all those energies, and then when you see the good and the bad of it, for example, maybe the bad masculine role models I've had or men around me, I'm like, okay, I've experienced the opposite, I've maybe even become that, and this is who I want to be, and you're always going to be that own person who leads by example. And it's very, very important that if you say right now, this is what I'm going to do, these are the daily habits I'm going to do every single day, I'm going to do this for the next week or next month, and I'm going to stick at it, and make sure you stick at it and you don't pull out of it because that always damages your self-esteem and also that lack of masculine identity, because you think that if you say to other people and they keep you accountable, but it's important that you keep yourself accountable. And then if you can keep yourself accountable, then you will always just do what you say you're going to do, and then the fear of failure and rejection won't bother you because you don't keep pulling out and sabotaging yourself. So I hope that helps in that video, guys. Just remembering where this all comes from. I sort of give you a bit of a back of, to do with the mother and the father and how that comes in. But that can be quite irrelevant after a while, as long as you start to, if you understand that is that is what actually happened, and then as long as you have a strong sense of self. And part of this journey as well is to individuate from your parents, that you don't feel guilty when you speak to your parents anymore. Also, say with the mother and then with the father, there's no frustration and anger towards them, because maybe they didn't role model healthy masculine to you, and they led to you not standing up for yourself or whatever. But ultimately there's compassion because you've gone through that, and once you've forgiven, there's a good relationship there. Like there's a good relationship with the woman, it's more likely you will attract the right person to you. So parents are important. And I do have a workshop which I'm going to do a week on Sunday. Forgot the date exactly, but check it out, and if you can make it, that'll be great. I'm going to go through that in more details. So hopefully see you guys soon, and I hope you enjoyed this video.